welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Pro Billiard TV and the 2026 Predator Euro Tour. Our first of the year. It's the Turkish Open in the beautiful Miracle Resort on the Mediterranean coast, Antalya. You join us for the 8-ball men's event. And this is an exciting winners round one matchup. Two young guns, Felix Vogel taking on Mustafa Alnar. My name is Gethin Davis. Absolute pleasure to be joined back in the box. My good friend and colleague, Aya Sarabi. Aya, this one could be exciting, sir.
Hi, Gethin. Lovely intro. Yeah, I fully agree. This is battle of the young talents. Obviously, Felix Vogel at the table, current world junior champion, and multiple medals at the European highest level. And he's up against his not compatriot, my mistake, his opponent, Mustafa Alnar, who represents Turkish Cypriots. What a cracking matchup. Very talented cueists. You have to say, Gethin, just based on experience, you'd have to make Felix Vogel favorite. But
yeah,
that being said, we talked about this as well in the previous matches. It's all about the break, isn't it?
Very much so. And both players get two breaks per set. And, well, Felix is definitely one of the top young rotation players. Haven't seen too much of him in 8-ball events. And our first break is a dry one. That will bring Mustafa to the table, Aya. And, well, you nailed it from the get-go. It's going to be about battle of the breaks.
I mean, of course, all the departments need to be firing at all cylinders, but it's, you know, at this level, you leave either of these two players an open chance like this, which can be regarded as an open chance, even though there is a cluster that needs resolving. I mean, more often than not, you just expect them to clear the table. They're just that crafty with the cue, even though he's overran that positional shot.
Well, yeah, it's their opening match. We are double elimination. Both players under the shot clock as well. I'm sure both players very much used to being under the shot clock. But in 8-ball, when there's a couple of clusters, it does force you to need to think a little bit more at the table. And the time does tick away, Aya. It doesn't stop.
No, you're correct. And each player has one extension available to them per rack. Now he's played safe, and I suppose he's not left his opponent with an attacking option, or nothing that I can see him going for at least. So his opponent likely to play safe as well on this turn. Nice to see a little tactical exchange, especially when you have two of the younger players at the table, just to see what their astuteness is in the tactical department, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Felix was in the team finals at the European Championships. That was only a couple of days ago, and he fought back from a 3-rack deficit, and some of the shots he pulled out, jump, escapes, bank shots, he's certainly got the full arsenal. And I was just thinking there, if he could get the cue ball around the 5, he could put Mustafa in a bit of trouble, because that 8-ball is covering 3 of his balls. I have to say, I don't think that's going to be good enough either.
Now I'm just wondering if that 13 will drop into the middle pocket. If it does, I'll tell you what, Gethin, this might be a chance, you know.
It looks just slightly off. It looks just slightly off straight, but if it does pass, he may be able to just bump the cue ball into the 2.
I don't think he can. I think he can even avoid running into the 2. Well, there you go. Yeah, that was a chance. Most definitely. Have a look at the layout here. So that really was his only problem ball, and because of that, well, slightly misjudged safety attempt by Mustafa, he's now opened up a pathway for his opponent to take the first rack.
Yeah, and that little cluster around the 8 has seemed to just uncluster itself back together to the side. And so Felix really won't be worrying about that 8 ball. He'll just be looking to ensure that his key ball will bring that cue ball down the right side of the table. And he's just checking to see if the 9 passes the 15. I'm pretty sure it does. This is a very good opportunity, and you'd have to say a slightly loose safety play from Mustafa. Bump the 11. Not the friendliest of bumps. He's now going to have to stretch for this. 11 ball into the corner.
I sound like a broken record, but I really do find it funny to see these blue players desperately trying to avoid using the bridge. It is, I like to see this.
Yeah, it was such an essential and well-used tool up until cue extensions came into play. Oh, he listened to you.
Yeah, I don't think it is hard by any means. And it's like, yeah, of course it is hard if you're not used to playing with it, but you know, all the more reason to practice with it, you know. I had this one guy who came up to get a bit of coaching, and I did a small assessment to keep the story short, and I went, is there any department in the game that you feel like you're dreadful in? And he went, yeah, I don't like to use the bridge. I said, well, thanks for that. Spend the whole hour practicing with the bridge.
Yeah, really important stuff though, because if you're in the middle of a good run and you're forced into leaving a shot where you bring it out, you'd certainly want to be confident with it. Now, if he can draw back from the 12 just where he's got the line of the cue now, he should be able to just draw back along the long rail for the 8 in the bottom left pocket. But Arya, if his positioning isn't precise, he could end up falling a bit funny.
Yeah, it's one thing he cannot afford is to be straight. Because of that 6 ball, it has limited a bit of the positional options, but this is a perfect angle. You can draw it just past the middle pocket that he is closest to. So if that cue ball tracks towards the first diamond below it, it would be absolutely perfect on the 8 ball. Hits the diamond, and there you go, absolutely perfect. And you know what a, well, costly error that was, that safety attempt by Mustafa. I'm sure he did not foresee this outcome.
No, I don't think he would have, but he may want to just reflect on his safety play, because his opponent Felix will look for every opportunity off of that. He will get his second of his 2 breaks now as well. And just to let you know what's happening on our other stream tables, Pro Billiard TV bringing 3 for you at a time. On table 1, we have the winner's first round of the women's event. Eylül Kilbaroglu is taking on the very strong German Pia Filler. An exciting matchup on table 3 as well. Misko Fortunski is taking on Ferdi Özdemir. Both of them having great performances in the European Championships, which were only here finishing up 2 days ago. Great work by the production team, Arya, getting everything set up for this Euro Tour. It looks great out there.
Yeah, it really does. And you know, every single tournament that goes by, we always try to improve on these little details. And yeah, great job, absolutely great job.
Well, I know the players have been enjoying their downtime as well here at the Miracle Resort, maximising their time here. Beautiful location, beautiful venue, great grandstand. Felix to break. He took his first one.
Interesting. Twice he's broken, and again he's not gone full power on the break, and it's not been rewarded. And when you look at the layout, Gethin, surely this should be a great opportunity for Mustafa to step in.
Well, there's a good spread of the balls, and there is... Yeah, the 14 is sat over the pocket, which will make his decision-making easier. So he doesn't need to worry about the 1-3 cluster or cannon. Maybe this 11 ball near the 7, perhaps. But, yeah, I completely agree. Got to be punishing dry breaks if you get the opportunity to, Aya.
Yeah, particularly with these type of opponents like Felix. He's a good front runner. He's used to winning. He's used to bossing around his opponents. So whenever you have a chance, or just, you know, anything that you can control, if you can just make sure you utilize it, then all of a sudden, even the greatest of the greatest, they will feel a bit of pressure. There's nothing as intimidating as, you know, seeing your opponent withstanding every single blow you throw at them. All of a sudden you might probably think to yourself, what do I need to do to get rid of this guy?
No, exactly. And yeah, if your opponent, such as Felix, like now, with a dry break, to not punish it and to make a good bit of damage on the table and make a mistake normally lends itself to your opponent having a much simpler pattern to make, because you've got rid of a lot of the traffic off the table. So when you do pull the trigger, imperative you make it count. Mustafa's just been chasing his cue ball a little bit. Will that flick on the 7 help? I think it does if there's a path past the 10 ball.
Yeah, you can take the top ball first, the 13, right? And then pass the side rail, and then on, let's say, center table, basically where the 13 is sitting right now with a cue ball. Yeah, just go past the 7. Yeah,
you could put all
nicely
of them
done.
in the same corner pocket.
Yeah, he's done a little one pocket drill here. The only risk here is he can overrun the cue ball and go behind the 6. That seems to be the only risk to me in this shot. Oh my days, has he done that? No. Any harder, and that would have been the scenario, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that was the line. Played it to perfection, and this could prove, although early on in this race to 7, a very useful rack for Mustafa to put on the scoreboard, because it will be now his series of 2 breaks coming up. And if he were to convert both of them, it would start to ask a few questions of the young German. But although it is early days, Aya, lots can happen. Interesting to see if Mustafa gets rewards from the break, because Felix at the moment has just yet to get it working.
How convenient is the tapped rack? It really saves a lot of time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And has been really performing well, guaranteeing good contact on the rack. Oh, makes a ball off the break. The last ball rolling.
To be fair, he was very unfortunate with that 3 ball that hit the jaw of the middle pocket, and I thought to myself, oh, he's been very unfortunate there. And like you said, that 15 ball always going to go track towards the corner pocket. I felt initially it didn't have the pace, but it did. So happy days for Mustafa. He can still continue.
One thing I will say, he's done it straight away. I was going to say, the ball he's just ejected from over that top left corner, the 14 ball, was going to cause him all sorts of havoc. However, in doing it, as he tied up the 1 ball on his own 5.
Yeah, but the 5 should pass into the middle pocket. So off the 6, he can take the 5 into the middle. If that 1 goes, that's even better.
Next question, does the 2 go to the bottom right? Otherwise, he's going to need to come underneath it.
No, I don't think it goes into the bottom right. It certainly goes into the right middle pocket. That would be the top middle pocket from this camera angle. Yeah, this is a key positional shot he has to play here. He's looking to leave himself a good angle here on the 4 to get his cue ball in that area just suggested. So good angle required here on the 4. And he seems to have done that. There you go. He can send his cue ball towards the middle diamond. He would be nicely on the 2 ball. Another key positional shot coming up here from the 4 to the 2.
Cue ball has tracked very nicely, Aya. He may have to come underneath the 8 now, though.
Yeah, let's have a look. I think, like you said, to keep it simple, 8 into the same middle pocket. You can play this with pace on and off the bottom rail if he wants to. Yeah, that is absolutely perfect. Picking out the right shots for me so far, Gethin.
Yeah, and what a message to send over to the young German. You've had 2 poor breaks, by all accounts. I've managed to punish one of them, and now look at what I can do when I've got the break. And if he can back this up for a second time, Arya, oof, you would have to say a small early upset.
Yeah, and well, the thing is, when you're up against the player that is usually the favorite, right? You always tend to think the one who in that scenario is considered as the underdog really needs a good start just to make a fight out of it. You know, if it goes the other way around, Felix Vogel gets on a run, he's 3-1 up and he needs to break, and you know, you can just see him running away with it. But if it's the other way around, all of a sudden now we have a match in our hands, and now you also see Felix having to hustle for it. Although, unless something drops, which it hasn't. Yeah.
He put a bit more.
Yeah, continue.
He put a bit more venom in that and just seemed to lose the cue ball a little bit more. His last break, he seemed to not jump about as much and didn't necessarily hit them as hard. So maybe just feeling a bit of adrenaline from that last rack. Break and run would get my arm going.
Yeah, and the thing as well is, you could have seen his cue ball nearly scratched, so that indicates he did not hit the first ball of the pack full in the face enough. And I think the main reason we've seen a dry break is because of that, not particularly the pace he hit it at. So I'm just wondering if he's going for the stripes or solids. I can't really tell from this angle. Well, there you go. So that 12 ball that is tied up to the 5. Oh, he's taking that one immediately, and he's got himself an angle to putt this into the bottom left. If he can putt this one, you'd have to make him favorite for the rack.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having a look at the stripe above the 7 ball. He's just taken a clip of the 4. That's okay. Because if it doesn't go to the bottom left, how he's looking at it now, it needs to pass that 3 into the side pocket, Aya.
Yeah, I can't really tell. Is that the 9 ball? Oh, yeah, closest to the 7. It seems like the 9 ball anyway. I'm just wondering if that passes. Yeah, it does pass the 7 from this camera angle, you would feel. Although he's left himself in an area where he can take the 9 into the side and play position on the 11. Might just have to play that, because the 6 is partially in the way to play position on the 9. Into the bottom left, of course.
He's having a good think about this. Wiped its feet before dropping, and now it's going to be all about position off that 15. He's probably going to play for position now for the 15, would you think?
Yeah, I don't think he's got the right angle to take the 14 first, so he'll have to take the 15 like you suggested. Ideally he would have preferred to play position on the 8 off the 15, which he's taking on right now. Such was the angle on the 11 that he, had to take the easier route, which is the 15. Position on the 15, of course.
It looks like he could draw up between the 6-8 from this angle. Looks like he's coming off the long rail, though, behind the 7, around it. And yep, was able to effectively. Ooh.
This is not, you would consider, a unmissable black.
Well, he was bridging in between the 4 and the 8 while stretching. Got a lot of action on that cue ball. Sort of up there near the 50-yard line. And there we have it, Aya. Mustafa unable to convert his second break. And so that brings the scoreline back to 2-2. Each player breaking their opponent once. However, you'd have to say Mustafa getting the better of the break. But at 2-2, we're sort of back to level. Just having a little look out over the other tables for any updates on the scoreline. I mentioned over on table 1, we have the matchup in the women's event between Eylül Kibaroglu and Pia Filler. That's locked at 2-2 at the moment. And if you are enjoying the Pro Billiard TV stream at home, please do like, share and subscribe. We've got action from now through till Sunday. Now, what do you think will be going through his mind, Aya? Is there anything he can change on his break? You mentioned him Felix was just playing them a little slower.
I mean, it's hard to tell what he's thinking, but I'd be interested to see if he's going to adjust anything on his break as opposed to previous two. Yeah, clearly a bit harder, and it did manage to hit it pretty full in the face.
Made a ball. Most importantly, still at the table, Arya. Just having a look. I'd like to say the stripes look a little bit more attractive, but where that 8 is positioned, Felix may have other ideas.
Yeah, well, the only thing, or not the only thing, the one thing we can establish is that 8 ball, unless you take the solids, would require some sort of a nudge or something. Yeah, that's why he's looking at the solids, and you know, he's got a nice opening shot here on the 3. And if he can just take away the 5 ball, that seems to be the ball that's mostly in the way.
Well, he's having a good think about it. Looks like he's taking it long down into the bottom left. Yeah, I'm going to pick off the 6, and then it's down to these 3 balls. Looks like the key one is going to be the first of them 3.
He can take the 5 if he wishes to do so. He's a bit thin on it. So the control from the 5 to the 4 becomes a tricky shot.
Well, he's having a look at bumping into the 8. Could force the 4 ball down towards the short rail. May leave him on the 5.
Well, that is definitely not gone to plan, and I don't think he's. I mean, yeah, he can try and kick the 4 into the side. That's basically the only shot he's got available to him. Well, 1 in 100, you would say.
Well, I don't know. He could go quite hard, and if he hits it flat, it may come off the 8. But the 8's going to go somewhere over towards the right side pocket. Hold on. See how hard he hits it. Oh, softly, softly. Cue ball, side pocket. Well, that was unfortunate, the 5 dropping by all accounts. He was looking just to leave it over near the corner pocket, you think. But
Yeah.
Chance for Mustafa here, are you?
Yeah, and in all fairness, if we're being very objective, the cue ball slightly let him down, even though that was a very tricky layout he had to deal with. You know, eventually had to play some sort of a kiss, and it didn't work out to his favor. But, you know, you could argue maybe the cue ball wasn't as tight as we are accustomed to see from this young talent. But you are on the money, Gethin. That is now a great opportunity for Mustafa to counter. And he seems to have resolved all the troubled balls, so it'll be very surprising not to see him run this rack.
He looks very relaxed around the table as well. Just deciding how his closing pattern will look. You can put the cue ball in between these two. Centre table would be ideal. Oh, rattled it a bit. And that will do.
You know, this is the 5th rack, and even though we've seen a lot of strong play, by the same token, arguably we've seen a couple of errors we did not expect from these two great players.
No, what it is making for though, Aya, is interesting scoreline and exciting play. Neither player running away with this as of yet. And both players just reminding each other that if they are to make a mistake, it could be very costly. So we get to see Felix's second of his 2 breaks. This is his second round of 2 breaks coming to a close. And you've got to feel he really needs this to be level at the end of this rack. 4-2 gives Mustafa a really good chance of pushing on with his strong break. This is good because from what I've seen of Felix, he only moves up more gears. This young man does not like to lose. Okay, we're off to the races, so to speak. Avoids the centre pocket with the cue ball. Did look like it was going to leak in that direction, but has made 2 stripes in this top left pocket.
Yeah, probably going to take the solids though from this position. You'd think, you know, drop this 7 ball in, leave your cue ball in an area where you'd leave yourself 3 potential shots. So that cue ball needs to land somewhere roughly near the middle diamond on the left side. You would have the 5, 6 or the 4 available to him. And just gone past the middle diamond, which is fine. Still has all the 3 shots available to him, although the 5 seems very unlikely from this position.
Yeah, off the short rail. Nice. Did he come up a bit too far? No.
Yeah, I mean, he's played his cue ball in an area, but I think he wanted to leave himself more towards the middle line of the table. So more or less has to take this 3 ball into the side, which is fine. Now the blue 2 into the bottom left from this camera angle. You would have thought if he can, you know, take the 1 after the 2 here, send this cue ball towards the bottom side of the table. That 5 and a 6 being close to one another. If you leave yourself an angle on either of the 2 balls, the positional play towards the 8 ball becomes all of a sudden very easy. Now, I'm not so sure if it is a fair assessment, but our colleague Tim did mention that he's picked up something in Felix's game. He seemed to have just been a bit slower, a bit more methodical around the table as opposed to, well, previous years. What do you make of that? I'm not so sure about that, of course. I'm sure Tim has a good reason to say that.
Well, I can understand what Tim's saying. It is noticeable. I think maybe in the junior ranks, he was just finding it a little bit easier, and that was just allowing him to maybe play with a bit more pace and get away with a couple of mistakes that may endure from that play. But yeah, since his 18th birthday and picking up that World Championship Junior, he just seems to have knuckled a little extra bit of maturation, and that has slowed him down. I wouldn't say slowed him down physically around the table. He's still quick when he walks around it, but he's just taken that extra due care and attention, maybe a second lap of the table just to make sure. And if there's any way of just wrinkling out mistakes, that's the way to do it. That cue ball just slowed up a little bit on him there.
Yeah, it just traveled enough for him to see the 8 ball.
Yeah, nicely done. And just to back that up, what I'm saying is that his time between shots has probably increased, but it's just mainly down to that extra due care and attention that he's putting into each shot. And rather than running around down smack, it's good. I like it. And as long as it doesn't affect his play under the shot clock in that environment, it can only prove him good. There is always the danger of thinking too much about each shot, but that's certainly not what I'm witnessing from Felix. It's really just he'll go and check on the next shot. He'll make sure he wants to finish high, low, straight, and yep. But yeah, Tim's noticed it, and quite rightly. Mustafa with his first of 2 breaks, are you? And how'd you like that?
Yeah, from a technical point of view, that break is, well, as good as you can hit it. The cue ball hit the first ball of the stack, full in the face. It jumps back over the center line, divided by the length, with the topspin on, and it just kind of stops roughly in the middle of the table. Gorgeous break.
Little update from our table 1 while I was just looking around the scoreboards, and Eylül Kibaroglu is 1 rack up on Pia Filler, 3-2 over there. Makes the 6, and he's come around for a little look at the 2. If it passes the 9, it certainly passes the 10. Well, it certainly wants to pass, but that camera angle says no. So going back up for the 1 ball, it appears.
Yeah, it's a little unbeknown to me what he was exactly playing for on the previous shot. It's such a shame because he had a very good break and it's gone wrong. And how costly will this be? You just tend to ask yourself.
Well, I liked his opening 6 as well. It brought the cue ball into that cluster over there, and I felt if he could have picked them off first and concentrated for shape on the 3 ball, then it wouldn't have been so bad leaving the 2 till last. But, well, That's behind us now. It's for Felix to look at that 2-9 cluster and work out if the 9 can be obtained into the bottom left corner pocket or not, because if not, he may have to come off the 11, which is next to the 1, to get shape on it.
Yeah, I was wondering whether he would contemplate to take the 9 first.
Yeah, better with that out the way. Can just run through here off the long rail. Just wants to make sure that he's not straight on the 12.
Yeah, this run out was very clinical indeed, and you know, it was an unexpected chance because Mustafa had a great break and he seemed to have regained control over the table, but you know, made a mess of it, unfortunately. That was a missed opportunity. So can he just retrieve the situation, make it 4-all, going towards the latter part of this match?
Well, we will progress through to the winner's second round today. The matches will be kicking off this evening, 9 o'clock local time, I believe. We'll be picking up on a few of them. Oh, even a bit earlier than that, actually, in the women's event. Oh, cue ball. And I'll try and bring you a couple of the big names that have already made it through to the next round. As we just look at Mustafa, narrowly avoid a scratch, but is still at the table, are you?
Yeah, you're right. And he's, you know, he's not landed bad on whether you want to take a solid or the stripes here. He's contemplating this 10 ball. I think the pot on the 2 is easier, but it's a bit harder to control the cue ball.
Oh, swung it round that cluster of 3 stripes very nicely. Has he landed where he wanted it to?
Yeah, perfectly on the 7
much.
ball. And this is a sensible approach. If you can take the 5 and the 6 prior to traveling towards the bottom part of the table, the positional shot on the 8 ball of the 1, 3 and the 4 becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, he's got good patterns, good composure. It's come a little high on the 6, but that shouldn't cause him too much of a problem. He certainly deserves to be in this match with a very good shout, Aya.
Yeah, he's a very capable player, you can tell. He's got solid fundamentals. And it's still up for anyone this match, you feel, because neither of the two players have really run away with the 2 breaks per player. It's been nip and tuck all the way through, which is odd considering the talent on display.
No, I agree. I'm wondering if the format of having 2 breaks each has any play in that. But Mustafa would ideally like to complete his round of breaks with it all square, and he's looking good with this 8 ball, and he does. 4-4 in this race to 7, and nothing to pick between them. Only difference is Felix Vogel from Germany, the 18-year-old, will now get to break twice, and he would ideally like to convert both of them now and just put a bit of daylight between him and Mustafa. Breaks need to start working first though, Arya.
Yeah, exactly. You would have thought these 2 upcoming breaks are very, well, critical in, you know, the outcome of the match. Like you said, if he can convert them, which is definitely not past his skill level, 6-4, you know, he's got a great chance to win the match. But if he somehow fails to, you know, first and foremost make a ball on his break and then go on to clear the table, who knows, if Mustafa can step in and counter, all of a sudden he has a great chance to put himself on the hill. Or even better, if he can nick one of these 2 breaks, he can even run out the match.
Yeah, I like the way you put that, Arya, and that's what makes this format exciting. Ooh, and that's not going to be it, Arya. Looked like a ball was going to contact the 4 and just tuck it in the side pocket. It hasn't. Not too sure if there's an easy opener for Mustafa here, but he does have options. I think he's playing the cannon.
No, I think the jump cue. Have a look at this. Yeah, he's jumping the 4 ball.
Oh, good spot.
Playing this one with backspin. Yeah, nicely played. Oh, he would have loved to hit the 11 there. I would have opened up even more the window to play position on the 5. So that is the key shot here in the rack, you would feel. If he can land nicely on the 5, he can nick the first of the 2 breaks of Felix. And wow.
I actually think he was still thinking of the he was still thinking of the 5. I'm pretty sure of it, and was just looking at getting that earlier rather than later. But yeah,
that is unforgivable. That really is. I mean, he's missed the 1 by such a margin that is completely up table now. It's quite astonishing. You give him that shot 100 times and just say you have to make this, and he'll make it 100 times without hitting the sides of the pocket. And yet now he's not even hit the jaws of the pocket. Quite astonishing.
What that does do, it's got Felix back to the table. As you can see from this camera angle, the red stripe 11 does pass into this corner pocket at the bottom of the screen. Otherwise, it doesn't have a path to the bottom left, so he's just going to need to have a little think, and he's also run out of position as well here, a little wry smile.
Yeah, that little flick on the 12 has really made things difficult now for him. I think he can still cut this 15 ball into the side. Yeah. As always, when you lose the cue ball, it usually takes 2 or 3 shots to get it back in prime position. Again, another cutback here on the 13. Cue ball is running into the, well, the cluster of 3 balls here, 1, 7, and the 3.
It is a difficult run out, though. I would be also considering safe off the 14. Not for Felix. He's played that rather well. It wasn't an easy cut. Might have another one here if he takes the 12 on.
Yeah. If he can leave himself a nice angle on the 14, and he's got a lot of room to play a good angle on the 14, he can immediately go towards the 11 after the green stripe. So really this shot determines the outcome, you would feel. And if it's straight, which is not per se the end of the world, but you know, he can't really go around the left side of the 5 from this angle, you would have thought. Maybe he can just power it in, but you know, it's hard to tell from this angle. He couldn't. So the 11 to the side, 10 ball after it, and likely to cross the table for the 8 into the same pocket as the 10. Now, just to make sure you don't flirt with the 8 ball, play this with draw or stop. Well, he's going past the 8. And this is the whole reason behind it. I said you could have taken the 8 out of the equation there. Might just be okay, but you know, that's the whole point of playing that shot with a bit of backspin or stop shot. This would not even be an option.
Yeah, he didn't need to go around the 8. He's got away with it. For another shot in the side pocket, this time for the 8. And to get back out into the lead again. And we're getting closer to that 7. And he has Aya and done that rather well, and we'll get another break. That takes him to 5-4. Another win on his break will take him to the hill. Mustafa will be keenly aware of that. On our other men's first round match streaming on table 3, well, that's locked up at 3 apiece between Misko Fuczynski and Ferdi Özdemir. There's still a couple of matches underway. Walter Leica, Sweden, is 5-3 up over Martin Rosa. Roman Hibbler is 1 up, 5-4 on the Turkish Tazin Kaplan. And Daniel Masiol is 6-2 up against Sami Erkan Koylu, also from Turkey. So still a good few matches underway. Over on the women's match on table 1, Pia Filler is just in the lead, 4-3 against Kibaroglu. Everything just holding up quite nicely. Also on this table, just to bring you back to speed, Felix is second of his 2 breaks, leading 5 racks to 4, needing to get to 7. Mustafa looking for a mistake to try and bring the scoreline back to level.
Yeah, I'll just go out all on the rim, and I was going to say he's not going to get that opportunity, Mustafa. He had a great opportunity in the previous rack, failed to make the most of it, and I've seen this happen too many times where you don't take these good chances that in the end turn out to become very costly.
Well, looks like he really wants to go stripes. He was having a good look at that red 11 up the side rail, in off or clean through the 3.
Although I think it definitely goes past the 3, so that shouldn't really be an issue unless he leaves himself very thin on the 11. Then all of a sudden that becomes a bit harder. And I understand why he's going for the... Yeah, continue.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, did you have any inkling as to why he's turned down the solids? They do look quite friendly. I mean, the 4 and the 6, meh. What are you thinking?
Well, I think, you know, because he had options and, you know, just... See, when you take the stripes, you don't really need to develop the 8 ball, have you? Well, I'm not saying if you take the solids you do, but it just... you know, they seem to be a bit more congested as opposed to the solid, the stripes. That's the only thing that I feel is happening.
It's interesting, and you know, sometimes it can come down to preference. But it would be interesting to understand what was going through his head there and why. There's a few occasions in matches where they make decisions, and it could be even down to the fact that they're a right-handed player rather than left-handed, and don't want to be in an awkward position. But it's always interesting what's going through their heads. I'm sure what's going through his head now is, let me get on the hill, Arya.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and just on base of what you said, which is completely true, right? The difference between a left-handed and a right-handed player. It also just 8 ball lends itself to, you know, different ways of going about the rack. Whereas with 9 and 10 ball, the lowest numbered ball dictates the play. Well, you were onto something, Gethin. That 11 was very tight going past 3 and just having made contact with the 3. It does give Mustafa another, well, it's not an easy chance by any means. But it's a chance nevertheless.
Yeah, I always felt going in with a bit more pace, as Felix did then, if there were any unwanted contacts on the 3, there was a good chance it would have been ejected, as it has been. Clearly he wanted to get position on the 13 next, but Mustafa at the table, and this would not be a bad rack to put in the bag at this stage of the match.
No, not at all. And, you know, pool billiards or pocket, you know, cue sports, it's a game of short memory. And when you make the most out of an opportunity, you tend to forget the previous mistake quite easily. Failed to pot the 2, but the 2 has now occupied the 13 somewhat. Now, having said that, can Felix see the potting angle on the 15? If he can, which I'm thinking he can't because he's looking at the 9 ball. So he's going to pot this 9 ball, leave himself a shot on the 15, preferably enough angle to cross the table towards the right side for the 13 into the same corner pocket as the 15. Here you can see.
Well, I liked what Mustafa tried off that 2 ball in just opening up that corner pocket. However, you've got to make sure of the object ball. And his body language said he'd missed it, but I needed him to move out the way to confirm it, and it is. He's come around the back of it. A little clip on the 2 will help as well. Not a bad shot.
He's landed very awkward now on the 13. Yeah, he's going to cut this one into the corner. And if that is the case, he's likely to leave himself a shot on the 8 into the right middle pocket, or the top middle pocket from this camera angle. Don't think he can get enough backspin in the cue ball to hit the 4. He might just achieve that. No. What a great shot that was. Delightful shot.
All about pace. That clearly had to make the pot, but well, these Predator arc tables, quite tight cut on these center pockets, and the side pocket needs to be just treated with a bit more care and attention. But this one, to get him on the hill, Aya, and you have to say he's deserved it from this performance. Ooh. Wow.
You were saying?
Another twist. Yeah. Well, they have been playing very sharp. You need to be very careful with them. I wasn't saying it just to add a bit more to the moment. But now, this 6 ball, and Mustafa could steal this one from under his nose.
This is a must get, honestly. If he somehow manages to miss an easy shot here, might as well shake his hand.
Oh, he didn't want to hit the 7. He has finished plumb on the 4, though. Oof.
No, he's looking at the 7 first. Interesting choice.
I wouldn't have gone that way personally, but played it well.
I think he's, you know, which is understandable. He's under a lot of pressure. I think his timing on the backswing has gone ever so slightly. Not on every shot, of course. That would be very, very difficult to keep running. Like, for example, on that 7 ball, the follow-through was a bit fast. Yet, doesn't matter. That's now all in the past. He's converted that very surprising miss, has to be said. 5-0. I'm just wondering if either of the players will take a timeout. Maybe not. It is in his hands now.
Exactly. You've said it, Aya. It is in Mustafa's hands now. 6-4. Big difference to 5-5. Felix would have loved to have been on the hill after that rack and then just asked a question of Mustafa. However, now Mustafa has 2 breaks and he's 2 away from taking this match. He's just having a look over at something, not too sure what. All the 9 and the 1. And 2, 3, perhaps 4 clusters, Aya. Oh, this match is not over yet.
Yeah. The table is saying, if you want to win this match, I need to see something special from you.
Well, he has an easy opener with the 13, the orange stripe. However, where that blue 2 is...
No, he's going to take the 3, and he's going to try and bump into the 8 and the 7 here. So that would solve one of the problems. Nicely done. Now, obviously, I don't know if he can get enough side spin on the 4. I think he should be able to do so. If he can just run into the 15 and the 2 without scratching, you would think that 7 ball is available to him. So this actually becomes a key shot if he wants to run the table.
Picking up a second long rail first wouldn't do him any harm.
Oh,
he's gone
beautiful
full.
Shot. Beautiful shot. Yeah, have a look at the table now. All of a sudden, that run out becomes very doable. Not easy by any means, of course. Within 2 shots, he's solved the problems on the table.
Well, the 2 is locked up on that short rail, but he's got a great angle to come down for the 5 here. Oh, needed to slow down or speed up, depending how you looked at that shot. As you can see from this camera angle, the 6 has a clear path through to the side pocket area, but
yeah, that was just the wrong choice, really. Probably would have been better off to take the bottom rail. Does that 6 go into the side? That looks very tight. Oh, it did.
Where's the cue ball? Or has he locked himself up?
No. You can clearly see the 2. So there's a massive positional shot coming up. Yeah, he needs to go towards the middle diamond. He'll have to play this with a bit of pace. This is, you know, a touch shot, really. Well, I'll tell you what, look, it's better than hooking yourself on the 5. It's a very tough cutback, this, but it is a possibility. It's one of those where you can just play it with a decent pace. You don't have to play this slow roll or anything. So all eggs in one basket, trying to make this 5 ball. Pressure shot.
Oh, don't run behind the 15. You were right, Aya. Wasn't the easiest of cuts, just made sure of it. And look at this. How do you fancy this 8 ball to get on the hill?
Yeah, well, calm down your heart rate and, you know, apply yourself on the shot. Stay still, push the cue through in a straight line. Have a little pause in the backswing. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Well played.
Tip of the hat. Tip of the hat indeed, sir. Well done, Mustafa, on the hill first in this tough match, it has to be said, between himself and Felix Vogel. Just a quick look at our main table. Pia Filler 5-4 up. So she's taken the victory there on Eylül Kibaroglu. And over on our other stream table, matchup between Misko Fortunski and Ferdi Özdemir, 4-4. Now Aya, Mustafa, his biggest break of the match so far.
Yeah, most definitely. This is his chance to run out this match without having to rely on his opponent, of course.
Oh, everything seemed to want to cover the cue ball there. Made a ball. The cue ball froze but took a few unfriendly knocks. Has the fort, certainly, and that may be his preference with that cluster. I think it's the 10 and the 13. Not a bad look at the clearance here though, are you?
No, definitely not. And just like in the previous rack, he's quickly trying to get rid of all the problem balls as soon as possible. And I like that approach. And I say problem balls, but really the 2 does putt into numerous pockets. And, you know, the 5, I mean, you can take the 5 after 6 right here if he wants to, just to free up the 5 ball behind the 8. You called it right after the break, Gethin. This is a great chance to win the match here in this visit.
Yep. Composure required. He's been very cool throughout the match. But now it is a must, and he may have just finished perfect on that blue too. That will really help him out here, Aya.
Absolutely. I would take this 2 ball any day of the week. First.
And without taking anything away from Mustafa, you have to say, this Felix, you'd have had him down as the favourite for this match, so you would have to say an upset of sorts. But the way Mustafa's been playing, it's been well deserved.
Yeah, if we compare this match to a tennis game, he's had more winners, but he's also had more errors. And his opponent, his serve was not working completely to his standards. So that's really the story of the match. Of the 2 players, Felix has made the least amount of errors, but then again, he's failed to create chances on his break, and this has been the result. And I have to say, these last 2 break and runs have truly been a sight to behold. What a great player. What a great finish.
He's just having a little chat with the ref, I think. But this 8 ball, Aya, for Mustafa Alnar, our Turkish Cypriot, to take what will have to be a memorable win for him over a very much informed Felix Vogel. He will progress through to the winner's second round. Felix, well, he'll progress to the loser's side now, and it will be sudden death for him. And just to let our viewers know, we will be back with more action for you in about 2.25 hours from now. Please do set your alarms. And if you subscribe to Pro Billiard TV, you can set your notifications as well. And if you want to just catch a little bit more action from this group, please do go to table 3 and you'll see the result coming in from Misko Fortunski and Ferdi Ozdemir. Thank you ever so much, everyone. My name's Gethin Davis. My pleasure with Aya Sarabi, and we will be back for more action coming up soon.